Hello, it's Suzy from Active Seniors and welcome to today's session. Today's exercises will focus on strengthening the leg muscles. This will help you with going up and down stairs, getting up and out of a chair, and also will help with your walking. With all of the exercises that we go through today, they should be comfortable while you're doing the exercises and also after you've finished them. If you do experience any pain or if you're not comfortable at any point in time, please make sure to stop. Take the exercises at your own pace and stop at any time that you feel you need to take a rest. Today we're going to start with a quick warm-up before we get into 3 circuits of the strengthening exercises. So for today's exercises, you will need a chair and just a bit of space around you. For our warm-up, we'll be using the chair to support us for balance. We're going to be doing some leg swings. So I'll get you to stand next to your chair, hold on to the chair with one hand, and we're going to be swinging the leg back and forth. Keep the rest of the body nice and still and try and just move the leg. I'll get you to start doing that now. We're going to do 30 seconds on our right leg before we move to 30 seconds on our left leg. Your legs should be nice and heavy as you're doing this, and we're just trying to get the blood circulating to all the muscles to get you ready for your exercise. If you have any discomfort at all, make sure that you're not moving into that position so you can shorten the distance of your swing to make sure that you're just staying in a comfortable range. Great, and that's our 30 seconds done on our right leg. We're going to do the same movement on your left leg. So holding onto the chair again, keeping the rest of the body nice and still, we'll get you to start swinging your left leg forward and back. And you'll notice that you can hear my foot swiping the ground a little bit as you're doing it. That's completely fine. Just be a little bit careful as you're doing that your foot doesn't get caught, especially on the way back. You can bend your knee a little bit if you want to avoid the ground as you're doing the movement. Okay? So about another 10 seconds, and then we're going to work on the muscles on the sides of the hip. Okay, so this time I want you to face your chair. You're going to hold on to the front and you're going to let one of your legs swing out to the side and then across the front of your body. So just gently out to the side and across the front of the body, making sure that if you've had any hip replacements, you're only staying within a comfortable range. So let's get started on our 30 seconds with our right leg to begin with, staying up nice and tall. And just make sure you're not swinging too wide for balance as well. We want to stay balanced at all times. Staying up nice and tall, looking straight ahead as you're doing the exercises. We've got about another 10 seconds before we swap to the other leg. Okay, and stopping now and doing the same movement with our left leg. So up nice and tall, swinging the leg across the body. Make sure you're not too close to the person next to you. Okay, good. We're almost just about finished our warm-up. We've got about another 10 seconds to go. And then when we're finished, we'll move into our circuits. Okay, and that's our warm-up complete. I'm going to put the chair up against the wall and I'd recommend that you do the same. Our first exercise in the circuit 1 is what's called a chair stand or a sit to stand. You're going to be sitting in the chair and you've got 2 different choices. You can either, if you find it difficult to get out of the chair without using your hands, you can either use your hands to press on your thighs or on the arm supports of your chair. And alternatively, if you can get out of the chair without having to rely on your hands, you're going to place your arms either across the body like so or across touching the chest. I'm going to keep my hands in this position here. We're going to start by doing 8 of the sit to stand or chair stand exercises. So sitting down, make sure your chair is anchored against something and standing up and coming back down. So for this exercise, we're working on the thigh and the hip muscles, and we're trying to build up their strength. It's really important for the thigh muscles that we make sure we keep the knees in line with the ankles. We don't let the knees cave into the middle as you're doing the exercise. So we've got another 3 to go. Nice soft return to the chair. Good. And 1 more. Great. Okay. So that's our first lot of 8. What we're going to do now is we're going to move on to a calf raise. So I'll get you to stand up, and you'll be holding the back of your chair for this one. Up nice and tall. We're going to raise onto the toes, trying to lift the heels off the ground and moving the body upright. Now, for this movement, I'll just face the camera for a moment. It's important to try and keep a straight line between the lower part of the leg rather than letting the ankles bow out or move in. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to do 10 of these, holding onto your chair, up nice and tall, feet about a fist width apart, and raising onto the toes. As you raise onto the toes, try and make sure that your big toe is getting some pressure from the movement. We want to make sure that all of the toes are able to feel the pressure, and especially that big toe, which is really important for the function of the foot. You should feel the muscles in the back of the lower part of the leg working throughout this exercise. We've got 3 to go. Nice and slow on the return down. And 1 to go. Good. Okay, we've got 1 more exercise to do in this round, and that's for our glute or big hip muscles. Now, for this one, we're going to do a variation. We're going to do 4, just bringing the leg back like so, and then 4, kicking the leg back if you're capable. If you feel as though the first variation of the movement is difficult, I'll get you to continue that for all 8 repetitions per side. If you want a little bit more of a challenge, then I'll get you to follow me and we'll do 4 of each. So up nice and tall, keeping the leg fairly straight to begin with, and just bringing the leg back. We're doing 4 repetitions. And then if you feel as though that's challenging enough, keep going with that. If you want a bit more challenge, we're going to kick the leg back like so. 1 more. Now I want you to stay in the same position, but I will move the chair around so that you can see my leg a little bit easier. But stay where you are. We're going to do the same thing on the left leg. So up nice and tall, straight ahead, leg straight. We're doing 4 of the kickbacks. Okay, now if you can, bending the knee and pushing the leg back. Trying to keep the rest of the body as still as you can while you're bringing that leg back. 1 more. Good. Okay, I'll give you a 30-second break now to get a quick sip of water if you need, and have a little bit of a breath before we move into the second round of the same 3 exercises. Moving your chair up against a wall if you can to begin with, to make sure that it's nice and secure. We've got about another 15 seconds before we get started. So just taking some deep breaths, having a sip of water before we get back into our chair standing exercises. All right, so we're ready to go again. We're doing an 8 of the chair stand exercises. You choose the position that's comfortable for you. If you need to use your hands either on the thighs or the armchair supports, if they have some on the chair. Otherwise, following me and crossing the arms over. So off we go. Nice and slow on the way back down, controlling the position of the knees and making sure that they are staying over the position of the feet, and pushing the pressure down through the heel area a little bit more on both feet. We've got 3 to go after this one. Good. nice and controlled. If you feel as though you can't quite do the 8, that's okay, you stop whenever you need to. Good. Now we're on to our calf raises again. So standing up out of the chair, moving the chair back into position so that you can hold the back of the chair. We're going to be raising up onto the toes. We're doing 10 of the calf raises. So when you're ready, starting those 10 calf raises. 3, up nice and tall. The calf muscles are very important. They help us in many ways. One of the ways that they help us is they actually help to return the fluid from the lower part of our legs back up into the body for circulation, because they create a nice pump for the muscles, which helps with circulation. And number 10. Okay, and our final exercise is our leg back. So we're going to do 4 with a straight leg, starting now. Keep your body nice and still, nice and straight. Bringing the leg straight back. And then if you're capable, bending the knee. Otherwise, just do another couple with the legs straight instead. And 1 more. Good. And changing to the other leg. So I'll turn the chair around, but you just stay in the same position. Up nice and tall, keeping the legs straight. Doing 4 in this position to begin with. And 1 more. Before, if you can, changing position, pushing the leg back. Good. Last one. Fantastic. That's our first circuit done. We've got another 2 circuits to go. The next circuit also has 3 exercises, and the one following only has 2 before we finish with some cool down stretches. So have a quick drink to break, and what we'll do is we'll start with a seated exercise on the chair. So having some water, taking a quick break, we'll get started again with the next lot of exercises in around 20 seconds. Now I'll explain the first exercise that we're going to do. You're going to be working on the muscles in the front of the shin area. The calf raises that we just performed work on the muscles at the back, which are very important for circulation. The ones at the front are very important for our walking and to make sure that we're lifting our feet enough as we're walking so that we don't trip over. So they're equally as important, and they unfortunately don't get quite as much attention. What you're going to do, your feet are going to be slightly forward of your knees, and we're going to lift the feet or just the toe area so that the pressure's on our heels, and then slowly lower them back down. We're going to do 12 of those. So when you're ready, we're going to get started in about 5 seconds, having a seat, moving into position, and we're going to start our 12 now. So this is 1, 2. The slow lowering of this exercise is the most important part of the exercise, because that's what happens as we're walking. These muscles help to slowly lower the foot rather than allowing it to slap down. And as I mentioned earlier, they also help us to lift the foot enough so that as we're bringing it through, it doesn't get caught on the ground at all. Okay. We've got another 6 to go. Should feel it working down the front of the shin area. Keeping the rest of the body up nice and tall as you're doing this exercise. Good. And 2 more. Our final exercise. Great. For the next exercise, we're going to be standing up. So I'll ask you to stand up. I'll get you to move your chair so that you can hold on with both legs. And what we're going to be doing is we're working on the muscles at the back of the leg called the hamstring muscles. Now they really help us as we're walking upstairs or up hills. So what we want to do is we want to bend the knee to bring the heel towards the buttock. Now when you first bend the knee, most people's knee moves forward as they do that. I want you to try and keep the thighs in line and just bend it with the thighs in the same position. Now the first repetition that you do, take it nice and easy. Don't try and bring the heel all the way to the buttock, because the hamstring hamstring muscles do have a tendency to cramp up a little bit. So we're going to do 6 on each side, starting with that right for me. So up nice and tall, looking straight ahead and bending the knee, keeping the thighs close together as we're doing it, trying to bring the heel towards the buttock area as much as you can without the leg cramping up. Good. And I'm going to swap the position of my chair now, just so that you can see it, but you stay in the same position and move to the other leg. Okay, so up nice and tall, bending the knee to bring the heel to the buttock. Good. 3, halfway there. 4, 2 more. Good, last one. Great. Okay, now our final exercise in this circuit is standing again, holding onto the chair, and we're going to do a circle with the leg. We're going to keep the leg as straight as we can. We're working on the thigh muscles as well as the outer hip muscles. Now, the bigger the circle, the more difficult this exercise is. So you choose a circle size that suits you. Start nice and small, and then if you feel as though you can do a little bit more, you can increase the size. All right, so we're going to do 8 circles. So that's our first one. 2, and if you need to rest the foot in between, that's completely fine as well. 3, 4, obviously it's more difficult if we don't rest that foot in between, if we keep it in the air. Stay up nice and tall, and you will also feel it working on the opposite leg. Okay, now you can simply turn around into this position here. I'll move the chair just so that you can see me a little bit easier. And on the other side. All right. Good. So remember, only choose the size that's appropriate for you. If you have had any hip replacements, just be careful. You're not pushing into any pain at all. 2 more. Good. Now we're going to have a quick 30-second break before we repeat those 3 exercises again. So if you need to have a quick sip now's the time. And we're going to start with the muscles in the front of the shin with our toe raise instead of our heel raise. Okay? So sitting in the chair, getting into position. We're going to get started in about 10 seconds, so there's still time for a quick drink break if you need. All right, let's get started. So raising the toes up and then slowly lowering back down. We're doing 12 of these exercises, but remember, if at any point you feel as though 12 is too many, please make sure that you stop. Good. Should really feel it working those muscles in the front of the shin area. And as I said, the main focus for this exercise, keeping the rest of the body up nice and tall, is to slowly lower the foot down. We want to focus on controlling the movement, which is what happens as we're walking. We've got 3 to go. Good. And the final repetition. Great, and we're going to be standing again. So moving your chair, holding onto the chair with both legs, and as I mentioned, we're going to be bending the knee to bring the heel towards the buttock without letting the shin move or the thigh move further forward. Okay, we're doing 6 of these before we switch to the other side. So up nice and tall, bring the heel towards the buttock, keep the thighs close in line as we're doing it. And we're just doing 6 of these. 4, only bring the leg up as high as you're comfortable. This one can make those hamstring muscles cramp up. 1 more. Good. And I'm going to move the chair. You just need to switch to the other side. Okay, and ready to start on our opposite leg. For me, it's my left leg. Okay, so keeping that thigh in line with the other, staying up nice and tall. 3 to go. Should really feel it working those muscles at the back of the thigh area. Shouldn't be too uncomfortable, not like a cramping sensation, just the muscle working. Okay, great. Fantastic. We only have one more exercise in this circuit before we have a quick break and we do our final circuit for the day. So the final exercise that we're going to be working on are those hip circles that we did last time. So just choose the size of the circle that's appropriate for you. Okay, keep the rest of the thigh nice and straight, and you can rest it in between if you need, or if you want a little bit more of a challenge, try and keep it up in the air as you're doing each repetition. Okay, up nice and tall. 2 more, and I feel it working quite a lot on the opposite leg as I'm doing that circle as well. Now, you can simply turn around. I won't turn around. I'll keep my good side facing the camera and we'll just swap legs. So we're going to be doing the opposite side now and the same movement. And if you need to do a smaller size circle for each leg, that's completely fine. Sometimes one leg's a little bit stronger than the other, and that can be from choosing to use that leg to walk up the stairs or from other injuries that we might have had or surgeries that we might have had. 1 more. Good. All right, have another break for me, and we're going to finish with 2 exercises in our final circuit before we finish with a couple of stretches. Okay, so we have 2 seated exercises to finish the session with before we do a couple of stretches. We'll just give you a few more minutes to have a quick sip of water and get into position. Now our first exercise, we're going to be sitting up nice and tall. We're trying to lift the foot off the ground like I'm marching, and we're going to hold it up in the air for 3 seconds before changing to the other side. Now as you're doing this, it's really important that you keep nice and stiff through the trunk. You don't want to curl forward as you're lifting the leg. You want to stay nice and tall through the trunk while you lift the other leg. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to start with my left leg to begin with. So 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go straight to the right. Okay. And then back to the left, up nice and tall, and to the right. Now only lift the leg as far as you're comfortable. The higher you lift the leg, the more challenging it is on both the thigh and the core muscles. So just choose a height that you feel you can manage. This is the final one on our left leg and the final one on our right leg. Good. Now for the next exercise, I need you to move a little bit further forward in the chair, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to keep a fist, if we can, in between both thighs. Keep the thighs together, and we're just going to bring the leg out to the side like so. We're rotating the hip. Now this is quite a difficult and strong exercise, so just do what you can, and if you only get a little bit of movement, that's completely fine. I want to do 5 of those on each side. So let's start with our right leg. Putting the fist in between, up nice and tall if you want to hold on to the chair, and then bringing the leg out to the side and then resting it. Okay, that's 2, 3, 2 more, 4, and last one, 5. And we're going to do the exact same movement on our left side. Okay, so I'm just going to shift across a little bit, and I'm going to bring the leg out to the side. And again, you might find that this is a little bit easier on one side compared to the other. I know that for me, my right side actually felt a little bit easier than my left side does. We'll just stay up nice and tall and control the movement. Good. All right, we'll have a quick 30-second break before we repeat those last 2 exercises one more time. And then we're finishing with 2 cool down stretches to work on the muscles at the back of the leg and also work on the hip muscles a little bit. Okay, so about another 10 seconds before we move back into our hip flexor holding exercise. Okay, so up nice and tall. We're going to get started again. We'll start with our right leg this time, and we're doing a short hold. We're doing 4 on each leg, alternating the right and the left sides. So up nice and tall, ready to go. Only bring your leg up as high as you comfortably can. If you only bring it a fraction off the ground, that's completely fine. You just choose the level that's appropriate for you. Good. 2 more on each side. Excellent. Almost there. 1 more on each side for this one. Good. Okay, moving forward on the chair a little bit. We're going to move into our rotations. We'll start on that right leg again. We're doing 5 of those, keeping up nice and tall and just bringing the leg out to the side, making sure that as you're doing it, you're not really bringing the leg across. That's why we're keeping our fist there. So ready to go? That's our first. We're keeping up nice and tall in the chair, only bringing the leg out as far as you comfortably can. And if you get any sharp or deep hip pain, then just focus on a very small movement. And if that doesn't get rid of the pain, then stop for this exercise. 1 more. Good. And swapping hands. Now swapping legs, moving the left leg straight out to the side as far as you comfortably can. It looks like such a simple movement, but it's much more challenging on those muscles than it seems. Good. 2 more. Last one. Fantastic. We're going to finish with 2 stretches. We'll start with the standing stretch and then we'll finish with the seated stretch. Okay, now for the standing stretch, we're going to be using the back of the chair. I want you to have 1 foot forward and 1 foot back and both feet pointing forward. We're going to just gently bend the front knee and lean our pressure forward a little bit until we feel a stretch all the way down the back of the back leg. You've got to try and keep your back heel down, make sure that it doesn't lift up off the ground, and make sure that both of those feet are pointing forward. And we're going to hold this position for about 20 seconds. Make sure you keep breathing throughout the movement, and all stretches should only be a mild discomfort. They shouldn't be a very sharp sensation. So if they are, just back off a little bit. You should just be aiming to just get those muscles feeling a stretch. Okay, let's swap to the other leg. So this time I've got my right foot forward, my left foot back. I'm going to lunge forward onto my front leg and keeping the rest of my body up nice and tall, just to the point where I start to feel that stretch, and I'm going to hold that position for 20 seconds. Keeping on breathing throughout the whole time, staying up nice and tall. Good. Okay. And we're just going to finish with, as I said, a seated stretch for those hip muscles. Okay. So I want you to try and bring the knee up towards the chest if you can for me, just to where you're comfortable. And we're going to hold that position. You should feel it stretching into the buttock area and around that hip area. So up nice and tall as you're doing it, and only bring the leg up as high as you comfortably can. We're going to hold that for another 5 seconds before we swap to the other side. Okay, and swapping to the other leg, bringing the leg up towards the chest, keeping up nice and tall, and holding that position. Make sure you keep breathing, let those muscles relax. Okay, fantastic. Our goal is to always keep you active, so we appreciate you taking part in today's session and we look forward to joining you for the next exercise session. Bye for now.